Good evening on Thursdays of Dimensions. I want to start off by saying that the spiritual things totally don't make sense, at least in the physical. The things you experience in the midnights, through your dreams, through your visions, don't totally make sense. But once you learn the language, things become a bit easier. I have to say, even myself, I'm still learning, it's still a journey. The next encounter I'm going to discuss today happened literally last week. I had a dream that a family member was seated ekanzini, which is a grass mat. So when somebody dies in our families, what we usually do is take grass mats, put it around the room that the deceased was in. Take maybe her favorite outfit, fold it nicely, put it in a corner, and light a few candles for the deceased, just to say bye in a way. I think back then it used to be on a deeper level, but that's what we do now. So I'm dreaming as if I'm on the other side of the screen, and I'm looking at this family member who's also a friend to me, and she's carrying 3 candles on her lap. But on the side that I'm in, it seems like I've got a big phone, as if it's an iPad or something like that, but it was huge. And I'm listening to the declarations of the deceased. Wait, I know you're already judging, but listen to me. I'm already listening to the declarations of the deceased as if the deceased was on my side and we're looking through this device to look at the person who's actually mourning the deceased. So the deceased kept on declaring words, good words of life to the person who's mourning. And she was sitting alone on that mat. I can't remember if there was a mattress, because we usually also do that. So she was sitting there, but the strange thing, the candles were on her lap instead of being on a saucer and being a light. So then, me being a child in the spirit, I woke up and I told that person, you know what, maybe just light 3 white candles. This is the dream I had. Just pray about it, that God protect you, and let the declarations of life that your mom used to tell you, and your parents and whatsoever, your grandma, because the grandma was literally her mom, just speak on your behalf in terms of what you're going through. So anyway, she did that. But surprisingly, today I find something else. In fact, I was going to talk about something else, and today I was totally diverted. A friend of mine lost a parent just recently, and then I was talking to him just today, and amongst what we were talking about, we were discussing, okay, what can we do when things are like that, because we are Christians, what do we do in the person's room? That's why I wished I was there, just to help out. So I said, you know what, the least you can do is do the usual things we do. Light candles. I told him at least number 1, number 3, and number 7 is always a safer route, because those are spiritual numbers. And what can be wrong with a white candle, And I was thinking of other things I could help them with. And then when I dropped the call, I'm like, wait a minute. Is the spiritual so deep that that person who's a family and a friend was representing this friend of mine who just went through a loss? Because he's also like family and a friend. We grew up together. I used to be at his house very often. His mother was my mother. So I'm like, wait a minute, was it communicating that? And to seal it off, I said, yes, it was communicating that. Because at the end, he just said, oh, then it's perfect. Because I already have like 3 candles. Then I'll actually use that to light in the room where people will be coming in to bring prayers for the deceased. And I'm like, I've got a lot to learn. I literally have a lot to learn. Because that family member that was represented in the dream was somebody else. And now this exact thing is happening to somebody else. So how am I expected to know all of this? How am I expected to know that it was meaning for somebody else? And do you call it coincidence? 3 candles. He prepared 3 candles for the deceased room, and in the dream, the person was actually carrying 3 candles for preparations. Talk to me. Teach me. So for me, that spoke life, because his mother was a very loving person, and I believe she declared good things for her sons. Her sons were like the friends to her, so I believe there was too much life out of the tongue, because the word of God actually talks about there's life and death in the tongue. How much more life do you want more than a life out of the tongue of a parent? How much more? You can go to your pastors, your preachers, and so on. Not that it doesn't make a difference, but imagine that person who brought you to earth, from the womb into the earth, speaking life unto your life. And I just want to remind you, if your parent has said negative words, usually your life doesn't move. One thing I'm sure, my friend and his mother were close, they were friends, and she spoke life to her children. So me seeing this person on the side, doing good declarations for the person, was talking about the words that are already in the spirit, that were spoken by the mother unto the life of this person. Whatever she said unto his life, I believe it shall be so. For me, this was very touching, but it also taught me that I don't know anything yet. It taught me that I cannot call myself wise as yet. And I don't want that day where I'll say I'm wise, because I'll be the fool amongst fools. Thank you very much. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you next week, Thursday.